Hello, folks. This is Brett Keene, and I'm here with Sister Sunshine, who is a known Christian on YouTube, as well as Garanchev, the sex bomb, the intellectual checkmate. And today we're going to talk about, is it possible for atheists and Christians to have committed relationships as well as marriages? What do you guys think? Let's start with Garanchev and then Sister Sunshine.
Well, going by the available evidence, it would seem that it is indeed possible because it has happened on numerous occasions. However, in many instances, it doesn't work out. Now, I've dated numerous girls who are Christians, since I've been secular, since I've been atheist as well, and that has caused some real friction in the relationship. In my experience, my anecdotal experience, often what happens when you have an atheist together and a Christian together in a devoted marriage that has gone long term, often they don't talk over the issues of, say, atheism or Christianity much. Usually they kind of keep it to themselves, in my experience. That's not always the case, but that often seems to be the case in my anecdotal experience. So it's definitely possible. It's happened before. It just can be difficult to surmount the differences of opinion there for a lot of people, and an impossible barrier for a lot of couples. That's my opinion.
Sister Sunshine.
Alrighty, thank you. I would say, first of all, it would never be a wise thing for a Christian to enter into a relationship with an atheist. Now, assuming that let's say there are two atheists and one converts to Christianity later, that's something that they're already in the relationship, and so it behooves the Christian to stay in the relationship. In fact, that person is obligated to stay in the relationship as long as the atheist party wants to remain and live in peace with that person. However, the reason I don't think that a Christian person and an atheist person should enter into matrimony is because I think the worldviews are completely different. I don't think it's impossible, and I think, that it isn't necessarily something that would never work out, but I think that the worldviews would eventually cause a breakdown in the marriage. And for example, in good times, perhaps you wouldn't notice the differences. But let's say in the event that you have a child and that child is critically ill, and let's say that the Christian parent prefers to not use aggressive medical care and depend on prayer, let's say, or does not want to use a specific medication and instead wants to withdraw medical care and depend on prayer for healing. And the atheist parent says, that's a bunch of malarkey. I want my kid on every medication known to man, and I want my child, with the most aggressive technology available. You are going to see a very big problem develop rather quickly. The way that they might deal with other serious things. When you've got one person who believes in the supernatural and the quote-unquote sky daddy, and then you've got another one that believes in science that the Christian may or may not agree with and may absolutely reject as nonsense. So I think that it's taking a lot of chances, especially if you bring children into the relationship. I don't think that the odds of long-term success are very high. Go ahead, Gronchev.
Well, I would have to concur with a fair amount of what you had to say there. And I think that, in my experience in dealing with girls who are Christians, I don't really want to have to go through that again. It was, really difficult. It was tedious. There was a fair amount of friction when we discussed these issues. I like to discuss those issues, as you folks have well seen. And, I don't recommend it, and you don't recommend it either. But with that having been said, it can work, and it has worked before for people.
I have one more question for you both having to do this. Obviously, one of the most important parts of this was the concept of if a child was brought up into this situation. What if let's say the wife is a Christian, but she is barren, she's not able to have children, but the man and the woman are attracted to each other, they love each other, they're committed to each other. However, one's big on church, the other would prefer sitting home watching a football game. Can the relationship still work?
Well, it can still potentially work because there are other things to factor into the relationship. A relationship is a complex milieu of aspects, and that's one particular aspect. Now, for some people, that may be the, let's say, straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. For other people, they might be able to surmount those problems. It's really an individual thing, and it really depends on a great many circumstances and factors.
What about you, sister?
Well, I think, you would have to take personal differences into account, but I think also you would have to look at, if one person wants to stay at home on Sundays, but the other one, let's say, for example, wants to go to church, and their entire social life revolves around that church, and then let's say they go to Bible study once a week, and then let's say they have a ladies' night, or something, another night a week, and then they go out and they teach a Bible study, and then they want to go out and they want to evangelize. Or they want to do a bake sales, and all of their friends are in church, and so their entire social life would revolve around that church. And so you're kind of an odd girl out if your husband isn't in church, or vice versa, if you're a man and your wife isn't in church. So it leads to pressure in the relationship. Now, let's say that you are the Christian member in that marriage and you don't want a television in your home because you believe that television brings nothing but negative, influences into the home. But your non-Christian spouse sees no problem with watching television and wants to watch football games and the like. So you've got another source of problems. What happens if your loved one becomes ill and you don't want to take your loved one to the hospital because you don't believe in science, as far as the technology? Let's say you're a Christian scientist and you would prefer to pray over your husband. Or vice versa, you become sick and your husband insists on taking you to the hospital against your wishes because you don't believe in it. You want him to call your pastor and he thinks your pastor is a quack. I just think that, could some people get along and respect each other's wishes? Yes. But people are people, and people tend to get emotional when they care about someone. And religion, like politics, is a very hot button topic. No matter how much you love someone, cooler heads don't necessarily always prevail in these situations.
Well, this is Brett Keene, everyone, and you've been listening to Sister Sunshine and Garanchev. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
I love you, you love me. We're best friends like friends should be. With a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you